Welcome back, you beautiful individuals, to League on Lock. The LEC Preseason Power Rankings continue, and we are approaching oh so close to that playoff bubble on that 6th seed, and the difficulties only get more difficult in this mid-tier. I think there's kind of a clear separation maybe with the bottom 3 and a tier list, but when you go to C or B, this whole 7 to 5 area, these 3 teams are pretty much, they're inseparable almost. You could argue 7, 6, 5 in any order, but for us, it has to do with the most unproven commodities in a long time, and we are talking about Schalke eSports, who now have 2 gods on their roster in GodGilius and Godgiven. Gilius makes his return to the LEC, first time since 2018, Forgiven first time since 2016. And the changes for this roster obviously upset and Ignar, because people are criminally underrating and forgetting about Ignar's role on this roster. They were an all-pro bot lane, absolutely hands down, no doubt. Throughout their time in 2019, that was what Schalke played around. They made sure to get upset ahead, and anytime there were late game team fights, he was positioning almost perfectly. And I don't know if Forgiven and Dreams can live up to that. They're going to be all about laning phase, and they'll probably get lots of jungle attention as well, but it's just completely unproven. Dreams was one of the better parts of SK, right there behind Selfmade and Crown Shot last year, but Forgiven, even he won the EU Masters, which is really the last time we saw him playing professionally, and that was even 2018 spring, but he wasn't the featured guy on that roster. It was Froggen who really dominated that entire tournament, and Forgiven, he wasn't the best AD carry of that entire run at EU Masters, even though they won the entire event. I really hope, I truly, truly hope that we get 2016 Lane Kingdom best AD carry by far Forgiven in 2020, but it's just too hard to say and too hard to put him at that high a level. And with Odoamne and Abadaga being the only returning members from Schalke heading into this year, they definitely were not the strongest points. They were both wildly inconsistent. Abadaga in spring looked like he was going to become one of the top 5 mid laners in EU. And then at times in summer, he absolutely kind of fell short of what we were expecting. And for Gilius, I mean, what are we expecting out of Gilius? We're expecting Kikis to come in and replace him. That's what everybody is talking about. And Gilius was the last announcement to be had for the LEC. People thought it might be Joko coming in. I actually like Gilius more. It's another very strong personality to go up and push against Forgiven. And I think this roster as a whole is developed pretty decently with the mindset and attitude of Forgiven taken into account. And if you've listened to any interviews of Forgiven since it was announced he's coming back to the LEC, he seems to have a much better outlook and is sounding more mature than the last time we saw him on stage. And obviously working with Odoamne again is something that those two like each other, have only spoken highly about one another. So seeing them back together is nice to see. There's no doubt in my mind that Schalke has the talent and potential that they could make playoffs. I think they're very close on that bubble, but the potential talent ceilings that some of these rookie-filled rosters have are the reason that they're a little bit higher than Schalke. But if Forgiven is even close to what his old form was in 2016, and even Gilius, the first split with Vitality, he was pretty solid. Vitality looked great, and he was rock solid for them. He's been great on ad hoc, and there's something you cannot question whatsoever with Gilius, and that is his work ethic. Even when he wasn't on a pro team, he was one of the players leading the charge for those in-house playing that they were doing, organizing all this setups with all the pro players, the scheduling for those in-houses, and he has only talked about his desire to win and play on the biggest stage. So good for him. He worked hard. He played in Turkey. He came and played in the German leagues to earn a spot on Schalke, and that is what he has done. So you can't question his work ethic, which is something we know Forgiven loves to praise. And Schalke, losing Trick is going to be big for them because he helped turn things around. But remember how 2019 ended for S04, and after finishing top 3, they went 0-3 against Fnatic, 0-3 against Splice for a 6-game losing streak to close out the year and not go to Worlds. And even though they finished top 3, that best of series against Rogue, they were one Larson Corky package int away from that maybe going to a 5th game, and I might be favoring Rogue in that matchup. And if they had to play Rogue even in Gauntlet, I wouldn't like Schalke's chances there. So even though they finished top 3, there was still some very suspect moments for them in the summer split. Still think overall this roster is going to be a downgrade from what you saw in 2019, but it has the potential to be a playoff squad. I can't see them finishing around top 3 anywhere like that, even if Forgiven is performing at the highest level, just because Abbedagge and Ottawamne, I don't think those solo laners are going to match up against the top 4 when it comes to the other squads in Europe. Schalke definitely has the potential to be a playoff squad, and my lord, do I want to see Forgiven and Dream smashing in the bottom lane, but it is a different era, and I just don't know if we will see it. That's all the time today for League Unlocked. My name's Eric. Thanks for hanging out with us as always. We'll catch you on the flippity flip.